everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Strip by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. I am your host, Steph Sia, aka Kimchi on stage. I am a stripper. I am a digital content creator. I am also was a former sugar baby, and I will be on a stage near you if you live in Vancouver, Canada. I will be on stage, I think, at the time of this recording, the week after, at Shaker's Show Lounge. So come say hi. Maybe you could go for a dance and we can chat about my show. That'd be really cool. But we're not here to talk about me. And I apologize again. I'm still a little bit sick. My nose is very congested. No, it is not COVID. I'm just that's the first thing that people think. It's like, oh my God, did you get a COVID test? I'm fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I am just a bit congested, so sorry if there's like weird, if it doesn't sound like me, that is why. Quick shout out here to Arab Sarkar, Justin Erickson, as well as Jay Sanser, who are in the top tier of my Patreon. Be sure to peep it out, and especially if you want to help support the show, because I do this stuff for free every single week, bringing you all the people from all the corners of the sex industry in order to destigmatize sex work, including this cute little voice that you might have heard a little bit on today's episode in the first minute and a half. We had this cute, adorable laugh, and I had no idea that she sounded so cute like this. Like, I'm just smiling so much. You can't see me, but if you are on Patreon, you will be able to see the video. But I would like to introduce everyone to Leana Lovings, who is hello, cutie. So excited to have you on the show today. Leana is a camgirl and a porn star based in Florida, USA, and we are so excited to bring her onto the show today and talk all things camming, talk all things porn, talk all things safety, talk all things being online and streaming yourself and being yourself. So, Leana, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am.
Hello.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's so nice to have you. And we just connected a few minutes ago, and I'm just like, oh my God, you are just a little, I want to put you in my pocket. It's so nice to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day today to speak with me. Hello.
Absolutely. Hello.
I want to ask if I butchered your intro, or how is our intro? Because I would always love to flip it back to you to, put it in your own words and in your own terms about who you are and how you want to be portrayed as. So feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? I think that it was a pretty good intro. I'm just Leana Lovings. I am a camgirl and porn star, and I illustrate on the side, and I play video games. That is pretty much me in a nutshell. I am a classic girl next door.
I love it. Oh my gosh. So you do a lot of other things too, obviously. Like, how do you find time in your day to do all of the things? Because being online can be really, well, one, taxing, and also really time consuming as well. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you're like, oh yeah.
It's between my very busy schedule, if I'm on tour doing porn things, I rarely do have time to myself. But if I do get a day or so off, I'll usually be able to illustrate or play a game. I usually, it's 50-50 on what I choose to do that day. I actually have a wheel. I have a wheel spinning app that makes me like choose what I want to do if I can't pick.
I love that. And I'm sure we're going to go into it later in terms of camming, maybe certain games that you play and stuff like that, which we will all go into detail. But I would love for us to start right at the beginning, or wherever you want to start, whatever your beginning is, in terms of like maybe your upbringing, or like how you found yourself in camming.
Okay. So I had a very sheltered upbringing. I did not know much about the outside world as I was growing up. I grew up in a megachurch. Some of my fans already know that I was a non-denominational Christian at the time.
Okay.
And as I got into high school, I started exploring different belief systems. And then I sort of decided that in order to find what I really believed, I needed to piece together, based on those different religions, what I thought made sense. And when I did, I realized, especially just in public school in general, it's a huge difference between private school.
Yes.
And it really helped me sort of question what I had been raised up in. And then in college, I decided that I wanted to explore myself more. I'd been raised sort of in this image that masturbation was bad. I had not even like really tried to masturbate because when I did, I would feel really guilty about it and then I'd stop.
Yes. Oh my god.
I would just think like, "Oh no, God's watching me," and then I would just stop.
Oh my gosh.
It was so bad, and I decided that I needed to get rid of this phobia because as much as like I'd been taught that masturbation was a sin, and every different church is going to have its own preferences on what they want to teach you, the one that I had been the most raised in said that masturbation was really bad. And I decided that I would go on Chaturbate to try and confront that fear. So, Chaturbate is an online streaming service that anyone can use to chat and masturbate at the same time. And that was my beginning as a cam girl.
What? Oh my god. Okay, see, people can't see my face, but my jaw dropped like so many times when you were telling your story, and I'm like, oh my god. Wow. Okay. Okay. So many things before we dive in to chat.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. First of all, for those who are listening and who might not be religious, can you define or describe what a non-denominational Christian is, or what that would entail?
Yeah, so non denominational Christians basically don't have a denomination. We sort of adhere to a kind of like rules that don't have a specific title.
Oh.
And it just means that we kind of were set aside and kind of made our own path in certain interpretations of the Bible and in certain like interpretations of like what it means that we should do in our daily lives.
Mm. So it's kind of like, from what I'm kind of understanding, it's like there's the Bible, and you can kind of have your own understanding or your own.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really an interesting way to kind of digest that, because I grew up as Roman Catholic, and it's very much
Mm.
like, this is God's word, and this is what you have to adhere to,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, a little bit different too, but yes. I mean, with religion, it's an interesting topic too, and I feel like a lot of people in general might question it at some point in their lives. And yours is quite early in high school. Was there like
Yeah. Oh,
anything
yeah.
that you were like, I don't really understand, or like, I'm not sure if I really believe in all this? Was there any kind of like moment where it was like a light bulb that went off, or you're like, nah, I don't know if it's for me?
To be honest, it started out as a very slow churning because I had been raised in it for years. So I thought that it was normal. The thing that actually made my faith waver was how people in the church community acted around each other. Because everyone was so hypocritical. You had all of these adults telling you, oh, this is what the Bible says, this is what we need to do in order to follow it. And then you see those same adults not listen to anything that they were saying. And you're like, oh, well, the tenets say this, this is what we should be listening to. And then you see them just sort of interpret it in a way that they want to, or just completely go against each other. I saw like a lot of the women in prayer groups would like get really gossipy to each other, which was just so strange to me. But like a lot of the moms in a certain prayer group would end up like saying things maybe about another mom, and then that would get to their kids, and then the kids would end up like interacting with each other in a way that mirrored their parents. And when I saw all of that, I realized that it didn't line up with my particular faith. I felt like, well, if I'm following, all of these rules, why aren't the other people that are practicing Christianity following them too? I know that some people really do try their hardest. No one's going to be perfect, but it was just so hypocritical. I mean, when I was 9, we moved out into the country and we couldn't go to the megachurch, so we had to go to a variety of other churches to try and find what we considered the right fit. And in that time, we saw so many different churches that did awful things. Like, there was a sign. I remember my mom was driving me to school, and I looked out the window, and there was actually a church with a sign that said, "God can't be everywhere, so he created mothers."
What?
And that was a Mother's Day sign. And I was like, the Bible actually says that we consider God to be everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are they going to put that sign up? And we had another church that actually decided to do a cash for gold system. And I was just
What?
like, oh my gosh, have we learned nothing?
Yeah.
It was absolutely insane to me. And those types of events were extremely formative in my change.
Yeah. I don't blame you at all. And I hear you. There just doesn't seem to be consistency when it comes to religion sometimes. Or,
Yeah,
as you mentioned, and how I kind of strayed away from the church too, was I also viewed it as being hypocritical. Like, you can they say, treat everyone the same and you treat everyone as your equal, blah, blah, blah. But then, like, you see them discriminating certain groups and you're like, well, that doesn't really align with what you're teaching.
exactly.
Yeah. So I hear your frustration in that. And it was really, really cool to hear that, like, that happened so early on, and you were just so smart and intellectual enough to be like, I'm not sure, like, about this, and this is not really aligning with, like, what I think religion is supposed to be. Or,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
really interesting. Thank you for that piece. Like, yes, I think it's really, really important in telling your story. So,
Absolutely.
but I guess, like, we can all say, I mean, in my religion, or my former religion and yours, that masturbation is bad and sex is
Hmm.
bad. So you decide to go on Chaturbate as a self exploration journey.
Yeah,
Wow.
I realized that if I did not have enough courage to kind of explore myself, then the distance of something online might be able to encourage me more. And I started interacting with fans on Chaturbate. It was really exciting to just sort of meet other people online that were kind of encouraging me to explore that side. I remember my very first stream. I was just so nervous and I didn't know how to talk to anybody. And then as the streams kind of continued, I started to strip and I started to actually like really enjoy myself. There was sort of this extremely transformative experience that Chatterbait brought me through that gave me the courage in my body and my beauty and just in my own physicality that I don't think I would have had otherwise. And my fans really supported me throughout this entire journey.
Wow. That is so interesting to hear, because I've never heard of anyone getting into camming that specific and unique way. First of all, like,
Yeah.
how did you even hear about Chatterbait? Was it something that you heard from a friend, or like the online community, or like, what was your introduction?
Oh, okay. So I was in like a Discord group, which is like a group of gamers that we all would go onto an app, which is Discord, and then we would have an individual group and get together and talk. And I was hanging out, and they said, "Hey, why don't we check Chatterbait?" And when I discovered that website, I thought that it was amazing, and I immediately started studying the other girls and their streams and what made them successful.
Mm-hmm.
I would look at like the most popular girls on stream at different times of day every day for like a couple weeks, and I sort of created my own formula for how I think that my business would work out and how I thought camming would work out eventually.
Wow. And were you correct with your own?
Yes.
Ah, there we go.
You know, I really like didn't consider camming as a business until probably 2 years in, because it was so intimate. And I mean, it still is extremely intimate, just being able to connect with other people and uh, find that intimacy in yourself and with them. And as I started to take it more seriously, by about 4 years in, I was officially going into porn, and that was just this last September.
Wow. Well, huge congratulations, first of all, which is, I'm sure, so excited, and I can't wait to dig
Thank
into
you.
that topic as well. Because your journey
Oh
has just
yeah.
been so cool to hear so far. There's so much more that we need to get into detail with, but
Oh yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm just sort
no,
of bouncing between things,
that's
but
okay. Everyone listening will have to just wait until we get into the whole porn topic later in the episode too. But
oh yeah, of course.
you'll just have to wait. But okay, so with Chaturbate and with camming and stuff too. So
Yes.
you had this formula. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about what you thought the formula was, but I thought it was really smart of you to, you know, be an observer first, see what that's like. Um, I mean, ask questions if you could before
Oh yeah.
jumping like 2 feet in. Yeah, tell us about
I
that.
wanted to make sure that it was going to be a very sort of smooth experience going into Chaturbate, and I started reading a bunch of guides
Oh,
on like how to be a cam girl, what equipment to get, and I looked up like how I should set my bedroom up.
yes.
And I made sure to reference with other girls, like, oh, a bunch of other girls have stuffed animals and I really like them. Can I just get fans to buy me stuffed animals and they can like contribute to what my room is going to look like and they can name them? That was sort of the formula that I started out with. I thought that, you know, I would start out with whatever I had, and I started out with a potato of a computer. And then my fans helped me get a webcam and lights, and eventually that was how I sort of started building up like my studio, I call it.
That's so cool.
it's um it's so cool. Um, but yeah.
I love that idea. And that's so smart too. Because instead of like having to use your own money, then you got like fans to help fund that. And I think that is really
Yeah.
cool. I love that.
And as I took it slowly, it really helped me define like how comfortable I felt with it, if I wanted to keep going, how long I felt like I could keep doing it. I really took every step with a lot of consideration.
And I think that's really important too. Because then I feel like a lot of us may have just been like, oh, I'm just going to try it and just turn my webcam on and I'm just going to wing it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a lot of care that you should think about it, because like whatever goes out on the internet is going to stay there. And just from my Chatterbait streams, not even from my other media, I've had my streams sort of ripped from Chatterbait and put on other websites, like other websites that people could definitely find. So I went in prepared, as in like, okay, if I go in, I know some of my friends or my family might see the content that I'm making.
Yeah, really, really good thing to note here too, because I know the last time I really did like a full on episode with camming, we had
Mm,
so many questions, so many people who download the episode, and I think it's really important to talk about safety, what kind of precautions you're taking. Can you
yes.
talk about that in a bit more detail for us?
Yeah. So when it came to safety, Chaturbate has a couple really awesome features that I could use, where I could go into the settings, and for privacy, I could choose what states in the US were allowed to see me, or what countries. If I didn't want a certain country to see me, I could block their IP.
Hmm.
And then I would be a little bit more shielded. Like, let's say I had like an uncle in Vermont or something, I could make sure that they didn't have access to my stream. I thought that was extremely helpful. I separated all of my social media. So I created my alternate self, which is going to be Leana Lovings. I came up with everything right off of the bat, but I made sure that there was enough information that was still vague that people would really have to try hard to find out, like, who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that's actually extremely important that I found out when I started getting toys for Chaturbate is that you really have to be careful with the kind of things that you buy.
Yes.
Um, so, legally, toys like dildos, other sex toys, are actually classified as novelty toys, and they are not under any kind of purview by the FDA, any kind of like analysis in terms of safety for what we put in our bodies. And if you tried to sue them for, say, chemical burns that you can actually get from a toxic dildo, that's what they're called.
What?
They're not legally liable because you used a novelty toy inside of you.
I did not know
So,
that.
yeah, it's super risky. Dildo use is something that you should be really careful of. Always make sure, this is going to sound super weird, but you want to check how your dildo smells when you buy it. If it smells like tires or a very strong chemical, you're going to want to be really careful with that dildo. That usually means that it was made out of an unsafe material.
Oh.
Also, even if you have like 100% medical grade silicone toys, that is actually what I recommend to be the safest
Mm-hmm.
because there's no risk. You still have to put your toys, like, I have friends that boil their toys to sanitize them properly, and that is a really good method for it. There are things like toys that have PVC,
Mm-hmm.
that have parabens, toys with silicone that is not medical grade, all of those things can contribute to a toxic dildo. And so it's very important to make sure that you know what your toys are made of.
Wow. Like, I feel like you could probably do an entire episode on this. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean there's so much risk that people take when using a toy, and it sounds so funny. I mean, I absolutely encourage toy usage because it's extremely safe. It prevents STDs, but at the same time, not enough people know that you need to get a good quality toy.
mm-hmm.
I definitely like would recommend using a toy over like other objects that you have at home. So if there's like a kind of debate on what you should be using, at least like use something that is kind of a toy, but just make sure that it's
Yeah,
safe.
absolutely. Thank you for the PSA because, like, again, we can't talk about
This
this.
is something that I had no idea about before I got into camming. I really I had a bad experience where I bought a toy and it smelled like tires, and I was just kind of like gagging when I used it.
Oh.
And I just thought, well, why is that? This is just bad. I threw it out, and I got down this huge rabbit hole about how toys are like unprotected, and it was so strange.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, I just feel like, okay, this is something you put in your body. Yes, there is a risk involved, but I never thought about, like,
Mhm.
even stuff like that with smell, the type of material and stuff like that too. And you're mentioning off air too about not putting two dildos together, and why is that? Or certain
Oh, yeah. So,
dildos.
because of the certain properties that certain dildos have, if it's not 100% medical grade silicone, then they can actually melt together if you keep your dildos together. And that specifically hasn't happened to me, but I have had a case where a dildo of mine melted in a drawer. It got stuck like into the drawer.
Oh my god.
And I was so it was traumatizing.
I can't even imagine
I
what it
still
looks
can't
like.
believe it.
I can't believe that. Like, you're giving me this
Yeah.
visual, and I'm like, what? Did you have to get a new dresser?
No, I just kind of like scraped it off.
That sounds awful. All I can like imagine is like like pink or purple like goop or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Well,
my god.
it just kind of stuck to it. I don't know. It's like you know what? It's like putty. If you leave putty in a certain place for too long, you know how it kind of just like sticks.
Yes. It's like
It's like that. It's like dildo putty.
I love how you found yourself in this situation. It's so freaking weird and unique. What? Oh
Yeah.
my god. Well, our lives as sex workers, never a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
Yeah, there's definitely never a dull moment.
Can you, Leanna, can you speak a little bit about like I don't know if you want to comment on maybe the importance of like certain equipment in terms of like lighting, camera. Do you need to have a mic, like
Oh yeah.
stuff like that?
So I know that I definitely started touching on that, and I
Yeah.
really am excited that you asked because I'd love to elaborate on how lighting is extremely important. Even if you have a bad camera, if you have good lighting, it's going to immediately accentuate the quality of what's there.
Mhm.
It's going to make everything extremely visible. It's going to give your fans more of like an idea of what your room looks like, more of what you look like, and they're going to love that. I use a 3-point lighting system. So I have a light on the front, usually around like to the side of my camera or almost just behind, and I have it reflecting off of a wall so it bounces off. Then I have another light to the side that I usually use. I use LED panel lights, but you can get casual umbrella lights on Amazon for about 60 bucks. And then I have a third light, which is an accent light. I usually use like a floodlight that bounces off of the wall with like a really nice bright color to give my room like a little bit of pop.
Ah.
There's actually a rule where if you put your bed a little bit too flush to the wall when you're camming, then it might lack depth. So it's actually recommended when you're camming that you have a little bit of space between the wall and the bed itself to add that greater depth of field to your room. And then I started out on Chaturbate with a Logitech C920. That was what my fans first bought me. And I think that that camera still stands as being really sufficient for streams. Even when I travel, I at least have a Logitech Brio with me, which is a really fantastic webcam. If I'm not using that, right now I'm using my professional gear, which is an Elgato Cam Link, which is a device that connects a DSLR camera, and then you have a micro USB to like an HDMI
Oh
cable.
wow.
Yeah, and you use that to connect it to the Cam Link, and that's what enables me to stream in such good quality. I also have a headset, a Logitech headset, that I use for capturing much closer audio.
Mhm.
I really like having a very well defined voice because I feel like, at least that with my voice, it's one of the better qualities that I like accentuating. So for me, that's what's important. But if you're new to camming and you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your stream, definitely set everything up to accentuate the qualities of your brand or the image that you want to show to other people.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's so important. And I feel like maybe a lot of us starting out with camming just are not aware, or maybe just like, well, I just kind of
Mm.
got to get started somewhere and stuff, but it makes a huge difference. Huge
Oh yeah,
difference, right?
even with like a $20 headset when I first started camming, that was good enough. Then my fans were able to hear me more clearly, and I admit it's going to be a turn on for them to really hear you better than to maybe hear the fan of your laptop if you're on a laptop, or like all of the background noise everywhere else.
Hmm.
A headset's going to cancel the sound around you, and it's going to make it a much more intimate experience.
Much more crisp. And
Oh, yeah.
Do you do like ASMR content?
You know what? I get a lot of requests that I should make
Yeah.
ASMR content, and I think about it a lot. I'm experimenting with it. I want to make sure that I go into it with like skill.
Yeah. Well, it seems. I mean, like, well, first of all, I was like, I feel like you should. Like, I don't know. How did I get that feeling from you?
I get a lot of that, and other people say that I should be a voice actor.
Yes.
Like, if I'm not already a voice actor, I should try that.
Definitely. Well, you have such a great voice, and it's like it's
Thank
so
you.
cute. I already said earlier, it's super cute. But yeah, no, all the stuff is super super important and really great. And like, of course, and I love how you like always throw back to like, when I was starting out, I had this, and I had this, and I this is only $20 and stuff too. So you don't need super fancy equipment like right off the bat to
Oh
get
yeah, oh
started,
yeah.
right? Because I feel like sometimes
You
people just
can
can't
really
get
build
help.
your way up.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you're a prime example of that because sometimes, like, and I feel like I feel like you are very analytical in terms of like, I am going to set this up as good as I can. I'm going to do all this research to make sure that I'm prepared. Sometimes people do that to a fault where like they just don't start at all. Like
Mm.
they just like, oh well, it has to be this and it has to be perfect, and then they just end up never actually taking the plunge.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you ever find that with, I mean, that didn't happen to yourself because you were able to kind of build your foundation as you went, but
When I've had friends that asked for advice and started camming, I noticed that they all hesitated with certain things where they thought like, oh, it has to be this way or it has to be that way. I've definitely heard it from other people where they take their time, maybe a little bit too long thinking about it. At some point, no matter how much consideration you're going to put in it, you need to just eventually just start.
mhm,
Because if you don't just give yourself a shot with whatever equipment that you have, you're never really going to get it going.
yeah.
It's like New Year's resolutions. It's something that you kind of have to commit to, and then sometimes we might put it off for a little bit, but once you just get going, it's just about getting your feet on the ground and
Definitely.
you figure everything else out from there.
100%. I love that. And it's so positive too, the way you describe that. Just get started. Everyone just get started, do what you can. And yeah,
Yeah.
like speaking of getting started, you got started in porn just a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. Oh my god. Okay, what? So how did this happen? Because you said you were 4 years into camming when you jumped
Yes.
into porn. How did this all how did this all happen?
So after 4 years of camming, I got talent scouted, and from there, I got contacted by an agent. And it actually took me a year from meeting that agent to actually contact him again and say, okay, I'm ready. I took an entire year thinking about it. So I got proposed uh, 3 years into camming, and then on my fourth year, I decided, okay, this is definitely what I want to do, and I'm ready, and I feel like my body is prepared for it.
There we go. Okay. Okay. So what I always hear this too when people get scouted to get into porn. This is a lot of people I know that, that have
Mm.
gotten scouted to get into porn. Like, how did they find you? Did they attend one of your streams? They had seen your work before? A little birdie told them, or like what happened?
So there are two potentialities. One was that I was found by an agent off of Twitter, and the other was that I had gone to the AVNs in 2020, like right before all the COVID stuff went down. And when I was at the AVNs, I was present looking for agents in between streaming and interacting with my fans. And so it was definitely between those two things that I actually got into porn. I definitely recommend if you're curious about it. Uh, when the conventions are around, go to the conventions and meet with the agent personally.
Hmm.
And that was how everything sort of came together.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So yeah, this is the direction that you were thinking of. Like, okay, I'm gonna consider this. Like, rewind to back when you were first proposed and it took you a year to kind of
Mhm.
get back to the agent. What was going through your head, and like what was holding you back? Is it because you didn't have enough information? You thought maybe, I don't know if this is a scam, if this person's for real or not, or like what was going through your mind during that time?
Okay. So when it first happened, I thought, wow, I mean, I've always wanted to go into porn. I've always wanted to be a porn star, but um, I was kind of scared of having sex with guys
Mm.
because I had not really lost my virginity.
No.
And it was kind of a big deal for me to realize what I wanted to do. And then my first two like shoots when it came to porn, I had still only had sex with like two guys
Oh.
when I actually had decided that I was ready. And it was a very big step for me because I mean, what I had been so scared of masturbating just a couple years ago, and now I was actually going to go on to having sex on video
Yeah.
for a bunch of different companies, a bunch of different people for the internet. And I just thought at that point, what was my plan going to be and how I was really going to pursue this consistently.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So lots of questions. It sounds like you're really, really taking this seriously too, and also,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I can really tell. And like, it's I can't even imagine how nervous you might have been, or how scared, or what kind of emotions you were feeling, especially because you hadn't slept with that many people, and just like
Mm.
jumping the gun.
Yeah, I really went headfirst into it. Um, I really thought like that I was just gonna go headfirst and think that it was gonna be terrible, but I was so excited too. I felt like being in front of a camera would make me feel dramatically safer, and it did. I
Oh,
felt extremely safe having a crew there along with the male performer. The male performer for my first time was extremely reassuring and wonderful, and that is what it turned out to be. It was not like scary in the way that I really expected it to be, and that I guess is what made it particularly wonderful.
ah, that sounds amazing. I'm so glad to hear that, because yeah, that's a huge step, and I don't even know, like I can't comprehend like if I've only watched a couple people,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my god.
I mean, yeah, going from no sex at all to suddenly lots of sex is a really big shift. My body, I think, was unprepared for all of the sex that I was going to have, but it turned out good. There's kind of like an adjustment period of 3 months for your body to be like, okay, I'm used to this. I actually got so sick. I got like strep throat.
Oh my god.
I was like out of commission for a couple days because I was like, oh fuck, oh, excuse me. I got strep throat. And I just like got all of these colds because it was just like I'm making out with all these different people, and like before I was all sheltered and I was staying indoors and I was quarantining, and then it's just like germs everywhere. I really had to like bounce up my immune system. And what I think a lot of people haven't noticed either, that's been making it extremely difficult too, is that like even during all these different waves of coronavirus, when it hits a certain peak, like 90% of the porn industry is just sick.
Hmm. I've definitely heard
Like
that.
everyone gets it, and then you have to wait a couple days or a couple weeks for everyone to clear, and then the shoots pick up again. But it is just so funny, we're all just like getting colds every now and then. It's like it's cyclical.
Wow, yeah, no, I've definitely heard. Yeah, like when one person gets sick, it's like, okay, we're just gonna shut it down, gonna
Hmm.
reschedule. Yeah, I've definitely had to chase some people around because I'm like, oh, sorry, like the shoot just got like postponed. I have to postpone this interview, and I'm like, well, we got to reshoot all this stuff. But was going back to you, by the way. Was porn everything that you thought it was going to be? Like it was everything that you expected, or really different than what you had thought in your head? Because I know you said like, oh, well, this is, I feel a lot safer, and this is not as scary as I thought it was going to be. But other than that, what are your thoughts now, looking back on it?
Hmm. There were a lot of things that were true in my expectations, and then there were a lot of things that surprised me. Specifically, I was expecting that a lot of the models were just going to be mean. I think that's kind of the stereotype. I was prepared because also you expect that people with a certain level of celebrity will be kind of rude to you, I guess, even if you're a coworker. And there's just so much kindness and so much like positive interaction that occurs when you're on set with your fellow castmates. It's really amazing, and it's really reassuring. The whole crew is fantastic. Usually every company that I've worked for, it's just extremely smooth and everyone gets
Oh,
along.
that's so good to hear. I love hearing about the camaraderie in different aspects of the sex work industry. Like as a stripper, a lot of us will hear, "Oh, like the locker room banter is like so great," and all this stuff. And it really is. It totally is. And you can't make this
Yeah.
shit up. And I would definitely kind of consider that would be kind of the equivalent of what you feel on set with everyone there.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's an immediate like emotional connection to almost the camera. They tell you that you want to make love to the camera. And whenever I look at the lens, I think of the person that's watching my porn. I think about what they're feeling when they're seeing me. I think about who I want to be for them.
Mhm.
And then I'm ready to work with my fellow performers, and I just know when we start filming, we're gonna have a good
Yeah,
day.
I love that. That sounds so great. Just, I love the way that you speak about everything. Like I don't know how to describe it, but it's not just positive. It's really real. Um, I don't know what I don't know what I'm trying to like say here, but it sounds you're having a great time. Is what I'm trying.
Yeah, I'm having a really great time. It's a lot better than I expected. That's the part that also surprised me. I mean, I thought that it was going to be a harder line of adjustment going from camming to professional porn, because I had started making my own content, but I felt like, oh, it's going to be so much more stricter. It's going to be rigid and it's going to be scary. And it really wasn't. I found that camming had prepared me for the industry in a way that I really had not planned for. I was able to come up with a lot of improv in terms of filming that I would not have been able to do had I not made my own content beforehand.
Yeah, that's so true. It was a good like maybe it's a good primer, I guess, for porn because yeah, you especially when camping, you really got to think on the fly. You got to well, when I briefly did camming, many years ago, it was 2 years ago, the beginning of the pandemic, I tried it out and I was like, this is not for me. But you have to really think on your feet, and sometimes when you're just sitting around waiting for people to come into the room, and when they do come in the room, I'm like, okay, I gotta keep people entertained. I gotta stay true to myself.
Mhm.
You know, maybe gotta think of some new games and stuff. And how am I gonna interact with fans? How they're gonna interact with me? Like, do you miss that at all with porn? Because I'm sure there's so many similarities with porn and camming, but there's also things that are
Yes.
so different.
The thing that I really miss about porn is the exclusive connection that I have to my fans when I'm camming. And thankfully, I have now moved to location within like a spot where I can just go do porn and cam now that I'm coming back to like a more regular cam schedule. I'm really excited about
Yay!
that. I just felt like there was kind of a void in what I wanted to do versus where I am, because I thrive off of being able to communicate to the people that got me where I am. I thrive off of knowing what their day is going to be like. I love being able to talk to them and just kind of be there for them in moments where they want or need me.
Ah, I love that. It's so down to earth. I love that because I think like sometimes people think that it's all an act and it's just for money and like yes, yeah, money's definitely part of it, but like being on live and connecting with your fans that you get to know after all of these years, you really create a relationship.
It's the most important part for
Yes.
me because they helped me through so much, and I respect the amount that they've been there with me the last 4 years. I mean, it's been crazy, and I definitely never expected that I would be where I am right now.
Oh, kudos to everyone who's listening in here from Leanna's fans. Leanna's following.
Thank you.
I think that's super great and like, you're so humbling as well. Like you really acknowledge and recognize like where you came from, where you're going, and it's really nice to see that you're kind of like giving back to your fans in that kind of way too, and like going back to
Oh,
regular schedule and all
yeah.
that stuff. So I think that's so great to hear. Because I know your schedule is insanely busy with porn and also oh hello, let there be light. What do you
Sorry,
have to
yeah.
say?
I only just realized it was starting to get really dark, so I made sure to adjust real
That's
quick.
okay. See, we were just talking about this, the difference that lighting makes.
Yeah.
It's so good. Um, between juggling everything with your busy schedule, I wanted to ask you before we jump into questions and stuff too, but how do you
Yeah.
decompress and how do you just like disconnect because you're always connected, it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
whether
yeah.
you're playing video games or whether you're camming, whether you're on set, you're kind of always in this mindset. Like, when do you ever get a day off and what do you do to chill?
To be completely honest, um, the gift of having a day off is very seldom. But if I have an afternoon off or a couple hours off, what I do is I heat up a nice warm bath, and sometimes I just like it piping hot, and I put in like half a bag of Epsom salts.
So good. So
And it helps me with my muscles. I just feel so nourished. It feels amazing. And then I read a book or I listen to music, and then I just sort of get in that zone where I can just melt in the water. And by the time I've come out, I have like a nice fluffy robe, and then I might play some video games. That is how I sort of connect. Or my favorite thing to do is actually watch a horror movie and play video
what?
games. I love having scary movies on. It's just like this kind of thrill that puts me in a mood. I'll like wrap myself up in a blanket and get some popcorn, and I'll just have like Scream or like Halloween on. It's perfect.
It does sound like a fun Friday night in, if you ever have a Friday night in. But what games are you
Yeah.
playing right now? If you even have any time to play games.
Lately I've been playing Genshin Impact. It's really fun. It's kind of like a gacha game system, which is like you put money into like the chance to get a
Oh,
character, which sounds really silly, but if you do get that character, then you can build on them, and it's really cool. It's like Breath of the
okay.
Wild, but Japanese MMO style
Hmm,
almost. It's really cool.
cool.
And what else? I've also been playing Remnant on the PS5.
Okay.
Um, Lots of scary
Yeah.
games. It's definitely like a favorite of mine. I also play Destiny 2.
Yes.
It's just there's so many games that I kind of just don't stop playing, including League of
There we go.
Legends.
Lots of classics there. Lots of
Oh yeah.
classics for sure. And like with video games, it's such a good way to just transport you in a different world.
Completely.
Totally. That's cool. I mean, like I mean, I would love for you to have more time to yourself if you can, but
Oh
it
yeah.
sounds like you're having fun doing everything that you're doing. So I love hearing that. Um We do have a few questions here as well that has coming from the audience, which is always my favorite part. And I guess it's kind of time to go into that if you don't mind.
Oh, yes,
Let's do
please.
it. Okay,
Let's hear
let's
what
hear
they
what they
say.
say. So the first one is, it's kind of long. I'm just going to make sure it's all up here. So when it comes to a dude's penis, how do we, dudes with penis, know when a sex worker is being sincere when they say something like, "You have a really nice dick"? I have not seen many other dudes' peens outside of porn. So I'm honestly not sure what the average or even like how other penises can look like to know if what I'm being told is sincere or just part of their sex work routine.
Alrighty, so I think that that's a really great question, but it is so extremely nuanced at the same time, and that's why I think it's cool because every different performer is going to have their own style for dick ratings. Being in sex work, sometimes it's like you're um, a therapist in some ways, and you have to kind of analyze what you think that the fan wants. There are certain fans that will pay for a dick rating because they want to hear good things, or some people that pay for a dick rating because they want to be insulted about their penis. And you have to determine what kind of client they are.
Yes.
So it's very hard knowing if they really want you to be honest or not. If you say, I want you to be honest, like just give it to me straight, I think that will really motivate the girl to be honest about what she thinks about your dick.
Hmm.
If she thinks, hey, it's a great dick, then she's probably being really honest if you're telling her to be honest about it, because otherwise I think it would be very easy to be critical.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with Leanna. So, as a person that has done dick ratings in the past as well, I think it really just depends on the relationship that you have with that sex worker. Um,
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
think it's really important because I don't know what kind of rapport you have with, say, Leanna or with me. And we're totally different,
Mhm.
two different styles with in terms of being a sex worker. So I think it really just depends on what you're wanting out of it, right? So
Yes.
like if you're wanting the honesty, then I think it's really cool if you express that or you tell them in some way, cuz I always love it when people are really specific about what they want as opposed to me trying to
Yeah.
figure it out.
I love it when they just say it because it makes it so much easier. And then I'm like, yes, I can absolutely do that. I can do everything you want if you'll just tell me.
Yeah, seriously. Like I love that. Like, and it's not like we're being lazy. It's not that at all. But sometimes like there are many other people that are fighting for the attention and like I want to
Mm.
make sure that I can give everyone the attention that they want. But if you're being vague about things and that that's one kind of to me tells me you might be a time waster
Yeah,
or
yeah,
that
there's
too,
that.
right?
I get so worried that I'm not going to be able to please them the way that they want me to. Because mind reading is definitely a skill. And then I'm just like, well, if I get the thing wrong, is that really what they wanted me to do?
Yeah. And if there's any sex workers listening out here too, it's really like I don't think it's a good part of your brand to play a one size fits all for all of your clients.
No,
Yeah,
diversity.
yeah, because everyone is different, and you can't just be like, oh well, I can't just copy and paste. You can't just copy and paste a message. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
yeah.
Like you need to put in the care, the nurture for each and every one of your clients in order to have like a good lasting relationship that will last a long time. So, our two
Yes.
cents. Some more questions here. I'd like to hear quite a bit about her current spirituality slash religious beliefs as I share that with her.
Okay. So I basically decided that I was going to find what I believed through the different philosophies of other religions, and I was just going to sort of piece together what made sense to me. So as I go throughout my own practice, my main focus right now is like I follow very closely to Taoism and Buddhism, and from there, I primarily love to read like esoteric texts that might be like almost out of commission and very difficult to find. I feel like all of those things, every culture informs us of a different kind of truth. Um, and sort of based on that, I just sort of touch and go in terms of what I follow. I think that's the best way to kind of describe it. Otherwise, it might take me even more hours to kind of really explain my personal
Yeah,
beliefs.
no, that's okay. I think that's really, really a great Spark Notes version of it. And if you do want to hear the
Yeah,
full thing, because I'm sure that will actually take hours, feel free to reach out to Leanna and possibly pay her for her time for that, because that's a lot of time she's going to be
yeah.
giving up for you. So thank you for the question. What does she? Oh, why does she have so many desks on her wish list?
Okay, so that's actually a really good question. Basically, I put a bunch of different desks on my wish list because I thought it could kind of be like build a room where you guys get to choose what my office looks like. I want you guys to choose the desk that I have in my room because then it would kind of um, be influenced and it would give you more control over what I have in my environment. Uh, Also, there's no need to worry. I'm not like making my own business startup anytime soon. It is just it's just because I want to give you guys choices.
I love that. This question has made me laugh so much. We're not laughing at the question. We're not laughing at you, listener.
No, it's just I have like 5 desks in my Amazon wish list. That's the part that I'm laughing about because I know it's silly. I just thought, they could just pick which one they like.
I'm gonna actually peep your wish list after this.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's really, really cool because like you're really, really encouraging fan interaction and like kind of what you said even in the beginning when you started camming with all the different stuffies. Like maybe I'll have that fan buy me that one. I'll display in the background. They can feel good about themselves and kind of build that relationship that
Yeah.
way. So
Yeah. I like the idea that whenever I make a video in my bedroom, whenever I'm using something, a fan will know, hey, I got that for her. I really like the idea that they have an influence in my personal life in terms of how these types of things are set up. Because then they'll know that that's a part of what I'm doing every day.
yeah. And that makes people feel really, really good. It's like really rewarding. It's giving them recognition. And fun
Hmm.
fact, I wouldn't have started this podcast if a fan didn't buy me my mic 4 years ago.
Oh my gosh! There we
It all
go.
comes around, right? And shout out to Enrique. Shout out to
Yeah.
you. Thank you for buying me that mic so many years ago. Look where we are now. So it all comes around. Very cyclical. So
Mm.
and last question here for Ms. Loving. So how obsessed are you with Hello Kitty?
Okay, so I do have some Hello Kitty things. Like I have a Hello Kitty plushie with like a kimono from Japan. So it's like a Japan exclusive Hello Kitty. And I also have like things mainly from like Sanrio products. So I really love like Rilakuma and I really love Pushin.
Cute.
Pushin is like a little cat cartoon that I'm a really big fan of. So it's I think I started liking Hello Kitty when I was very little. I was about 4 or 5, and I had some neighbors from Japan that actually got me a porcelain Hello Kitty piggy bank,
What?
and they were so sweet. And um, I kept that piggy bank for years. And I sort of fell in love with Hello Kitty from that, but I don't really have many Hello Kitty things.
That's okay. I feel like a lot of us are big Hello Kitty fans. Such a classic. Like,
Hmm.
I grew up with watching Hello Kitty. Does anyone remember the Hello Kitty TV show back in the day? Or like Karaoke, the TV show back in the
Oh
day?
my goodness.
That was a long time ago. Aging myself now, but that yeah. Hello Kitty's a classic. FYI. Such fun questions this time around. Like I'm just
Yeah.
having so much fun here. Leanna, before I let you go, where can we find you?
Alrighty, well, you can find me on Twitter as Leana Lovings. That's LeAnaLovings. Leana Lovings, and that's with capital L's. And my OnlyFans is Leana Lovings as well, but that's all lowercase. The same goes for my Instagram.
Here we go. Nice and simple and easy. Oh, Leanna, this is so much
Yeah.
fun chatting with you today. Thank you so, so much. It's been a great hour, and I hope this episode has given people some ideas, especially if you were considering going into camming, really
Yes.
laying the groundwork on Chaturbate. Your really unique entry into porn, your really unique entry into camming. Like, so, so fun. And for everyone else listening, it's Stripped by Sia on Instagram. It's Stripped by Sia on Twitter. My Patreon is Stripped by Sia as well. Patreon.com/Stripped by Sia. If you like what you are listening to, maybe consider writing a review if you like it, rating it 5 stars, whatever you feel like, maybe 4 stars, but I'm highly suggesting 5 stars. But it's, new episodes every single Sunday, and we'll catch everyone in for another episode next week. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Leanna.
Thank you. Bye.
You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia, music by Ted D, graphic design by Maria Bellandirama, and photography by Ian Dabrin.